Yeah, so I mean, this is what we see as kind of the modern architecture. So, and the view we're looking at here is really what we do in this industry with the Microsoft stack or Microsoft platform. But really, if you look at that red section, that could be any enterprise, whether it be SAP, Oracle, or whatever, and depending on what you're doing for your work management, it could be a litany of different systems. And so what we're seeing here is really about kind of the key kind of elements of really asset intensive businesses, which is the customer side, and ultimately moving from a very linear way of kind of working with our customers to more of an omni-channel way. And we're providing different services today. In many cases, we're having a different type of customer. If you look at energy and kind of the whole renewable and what's happening with electric market and cars and things like that, and we have a different buyer type of experience expectation. So we need the ability to allow those end customers to work with our business and kind of how they want to work with us, and it be a very seamless process. I mean, if you look at traditional kind of portals and customer kind of engagement in the asset intensive world, many times customers had to go to 3, 4 different portals to deal with, one for billing, one for case management or
Right.
problem resolution and so on. And so how do we streamline that and kind of unify that? If you look at kind of the right side and what I talked about earlier, which is a large percentage of how we operate our assets in our asset intensive businesses is done in the field. And that is kind of multi-thread as it relates to the work that we self-perform versus contractors. And in some cases, that percentage can vary depending on the industry, but we also need an omni-channel type of application for the field side. And that's not just really working with different personas, but it's also in some cases, you may have work processes like permitting that cross multiple personas, internal and external, and even systems and even inputs. So you could have manual inputs for someone that's putting a manual form for a certain type of permit that needs to be, put into a process that has certain actions and tasks that have to get done. And we need to be able to monitor that and ensure that those permits are in place before we start work activities. So how do we link all that in a kind of a very decentralized environment? So we'll talk a little bit about just kind of how that Power Platform helps with that. And then, things like modern technology of how do we leverage things like remote assist or mixed reality or augmented reality to help really empower our field personnel on kind of near real-time learnings as things are happening, as well as streamline our service delivery or asset maintenance by putting less cost individuals in the field supported by engineers back in a remote location. And then kind of as we move down, what is the core of all this and really digital today? It's all about data. And so it's not just getting the right data and being able to quickly analyze that data, but it's also about being able to take action on that data. And so when you look at kind of a legacy environment, it's very difficult to do that. And many times I'm going into multiple systems and actually make that happen. And then it's about automation. So, what are the things that on the action side are the processes that we could potentially automate that individuals are doing today? And when we look at a solution like the Power Platform, which has kind of 4 kind of critical elements based on what we talked about here, one being on data, which is Power BI, the other being on Power Apps and how we create online, offline app experiences to be able to deliver either business unit level and or a specific work activity like an inspection level. Also giving the flexibility so that if you take inspections, for example, in some cases, we've got an endless demand for different inspection types based on new products and new requirements. So, having the ability for field personnel to kind of create their own forms to be able to capture those unique inspection related elements has been very difficult in the past. And, Power Apps or solutions like that make it very easy. And then we look at kind of Power Automate, which is this kind of, this what you hear about RPA or robotic process automation, which is just awesome stuff because it allows you to really create value in an organization immediately. And you can start with very small type of particular, manual processes that you want to automate to streamlining integrations. I mean, think of a workflow that starts in one business application and may cross 5 other business applications or operating systems, and that's a single workflow. Well, traditionally, each one of those systems has their own workflow. But with Power Automate, you really can create a single enterprise workflow engine that really can manage work activities and even take automated action across that ecosystem of multi-threaded technologies. And in some cases, even all the way down to the asset level, if you're looking at smart assets and taking kind of control command events around solving problems.